How much longer are you going to pretend you're broken when you've already survived hell? Seriously, look at your life. You've been through rejection. You've been ignored. You've been broke. You've been doubted. You've been humiliated. And you're still here. But now you're hiding. You scroll for hours. You tell yourself you're thinking. You say you're planning. You say you're waiting for the right time. Wake the hell up. You're not planning, you're stalling. You're not thinking, you're avoiding. You're not waiting, you're scared. And that's fine. Fear is human. But hiding, that's a choice. Do you remember that version of you who had nothing to lose? That version who stayed up at night thinking, I'll prove them wrong? That version who felt the fire in your chest? What happened to him? Somewhere along the way, comfort wrapped around you like a soft blanket. Not success, not peace, just comfort. The kind that keeps you warm while your potential slowly suffocates. You survived worse than this. You survived heartbreak that felt like it would kill you. You survived days when your bank account scared you. You survived being underestimated. But now you're scared of trying again? That's insane. The phone in your hand isn't your enemy. The bed isn't your enemy. Netflix isn't your enemy. Your comfort is. Comfort is the most dangerous drug in the modern world. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It says, you deserve a break. It says, start tomorrow. It says, you've already done enough. No, you haven't. Not if there's still something inside you that feels unfinished. Not if you still feel that quiet frustration at night. Not if you still compare yourself to who you could be. Stop lying to yourself. You're not tired of life. You're tired of not moving. There's a difference. Real exhaustion comes from effort. This is mental decay from stagnation. You wake up, you check your phone, you scroll, you absorb everyone else's lives. You watch people building, launching, creating, risking, and you sit there thinking, I could do that. Yeah, you could. So why don't you? Because trying means risking embarrassment. Trying means risking failure. Trying means admitting you care. And caring makes you vulnerable. But guess what? You've already been embarrassed. You've already failed. You've already been vulnerable. You survived it. You've survived worse. So why are you acting like starting something new is life or death? Nobody is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not some magical opportunity. Nobody is going to knock on your door and say, congratulations, here's the life you wanted. You either build it or you watch someone else build theirs while you complain. And here's the brutal truth. If you keep hiding, one day you won't even feel frustrated anymore. You'll just feel numb. That's the scariest place to be. Because frustration means there's still fire. Numbness means the fire is dying. Right now, you're in between. You're not dead inside. You're just dormant. You've convinced yourself that playing small is safer, that staying quiet is smart, that waiting is strategic. It's not. It's fear dressed up as logic. You tell yourself, I just need more clarity. No, you need courage. You tell yourself, I'm not ready. You'll never feel ready. You tell yourself, what if I fail? What if you waste another 5 years doing nothing? Time doesn't care about your excuses. It moves anyway. And every day you hide, you reinforce the identity of someone who doesn't act. That's how weakness is built. Quietly, repeatedly, through small, daily avoidance. But here's the part you don't want to hear. You are stronger than this version of you. You've handled pain. You've handled chaos. You've handled loss. And now you're letting comfort beat you? Come on. This isn't about becoming some superhero overnight. This isn't about grinding 20 hours a day. This is about one decision. Stop hiding. Post the thing. Apply for the job. Start the project. Go to the gym. Have the hard conversation. Do something that scares you just enough to feel alive again. You don't need motivation, you need movement. Because movement creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates identity. And identity changes everything. Right now, you see yourself as someone who hesitates. That's the problem. Not your skill, not your intelligence, not your resources. Your self-image. You've survived worse. You've been in darker places than this. The difference is, back then, you had no choice but to fight. Now you do. And you're choosing safety. Ask yourself something real. If the version of you from 5 years ago could see you today, would he be proud? Or would he say, "Why the hell did you stop?" Because deep down, you know you stopped pushing. Not because you can't, but because it's uncomfortable. And growth is always uncomfortable. This is your wake-up moment. Not loud, not dramatic, just honest. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're hiding. And the moment you decide to step forward instead of shrinking back, everything shifts. The world doesn't need a softer version of you. It needs the one who stopped pretending and started moving. You've survived worse. Now act like it.
You know what's crazy? You don't even remember how strong you actually are. Somewhere between the late nights, the silent disappointments, and the endless scrolling, you forgot. You forgot what it felt like to be hungry. You forgot what it felt like to wake up with a damn purpose instead of reaching for your phone like it's oxygen. Let me ask you something. When did you trade ambition for comfort? When did "I'm going to build something" turn into "I'll see what happens"? That shift didn't happen overnight. It was slow, subtle, dangerous. First, you told yourself you deserved a break. Then the break became a habit. Then the habit became your identity. Now you're the guy who has potential, not the guy who executes. That should piss you off, because potential without action is just wasted talent, and wasted talent turns into regret. And regret, that thing eats you alive at 2 a.m. when everything is quiet and you're alone with your thoughts. You feel it, don't you? That little voice that says, you could be further. That tight feeling in your chest when you see someone your age winning. That flash of jealousy you pretend isn't there. It's not jealousy. It's your own suppressed ambition screaming at you. You don't hate their success. You hate your hesitation. And hesitation is expensive. Every day you hesitate, someone else takes the shot. Every week you hesitate, someone else builds the muscle. Every month you hesitate, someone else compounds their effort. You stay the same. And staying the same is the most comfortable form of self-destruction. It doesn't feel dramatic, it feels safe. That's why it's deadly. You tell yourself you'll start when you feel confident. That's backwards. Confidence comes after action, after you fall on your face, after you look stupid, after you screw it up and realize you didn't die. You survived worse than embarrassment. You survived being broke. You survived people walking away. You survived thinking you weren't enough. So why are you terrified of being seen trying? Let's be real. You're not afraid of failure. You're afraid of finding out what you're actually capable of. Because if you try at full intensity and win, then you have to maintain that standard. You have to grow. You have to level up. And leveling up means leaving people behind. It means outgrowing conversations. It means discipline. And discipline is uncomfortable as hell. Scrolling is easy. Complaining is easy. Blaming circumstances is easy. Ownership? That's heavy. Ownership means admitting that you're where you are because of your patterns, not your parents, not the economy, not luck, your patterns. That's not meant to shame you. It's meant to wake you up. Because if your patterns built this life, they can build a different one. But you can't keep acting like a victim of time. Time isn't attacking you. You're wasting it. You say you don't have enough hours, but check your screen time. Be honest. If your phone could testify against you in court, you'd be convicted of wasting your own damn potential. You don't need more information. You already know what to do. You know you need to wake up earlier. You know you need to train your body. You know you need to stop consuming garbage content. You know you need to take risks. The problem isn't ignorance, it's avoidance. Avoidance feels safe in the moment, but long-term, it builds a quiet resentment toward yourself, and that's the worst feeling in the world. Not failing, not losing, resenting yourself. That feeling when you look in the mirror and think, I could be more. That's your soul telling you to wake the hell up. You don't need to become someone else. You need to stop betraying who you already are. You were built for pressure. Think about it. The moments that shaped you weren't easy ones. They were painful. They forced growth. They forced maturity. They forced resilience. And now you're running from smaller challenges? Come on. You've survived worse storms than this. This isn't even a storm. This is a decision. You're standing at the edge of your comfort zone, acting like it's a cliff. It's not. It's a step. One step. Send the message, make the call, sign up, start training, launch the idea. Not perfectly, just honestly. Because hiding is exhausting. Pretending you don't care is exhausting. Acting like you're fine when you know you're capable of more, that's exhausting. You're tired because you're split in two. One version of you wants comfort, the other wants growth. And every day you don't choose, you stay stuck in that tension. Pick a side. If you choose comfort, own it. Stop complaining. Accept mediocrity. But if you choose growth, then stop half committing. Burn the ships. Stop giving yourself an escape route back to average. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't need someone to believe in you. Nobody is coming. This is your life, your responsibility, your move. You've survived worse than fear. Now prove you can survive success.
Let's get uncomfortable. What if the real reason you're stuck isn't fear of failure? What if it's fear of responsibility? Because the moment you admit you're capable of more, you lose the right to play small. Right now, you can say, I'm just figuring things out. You can say, it's not the right time. You can hide behind potential. But the second you step up and own your power, the excuses die. And excuses are addictive. They protect your ego. They keep your identity safe. They allow you to stay average without calling it average. But deep down, you know. You know when you're coasting. You know when you're distracting yourself. You know when you're capable of more. And that knowing, that's heavy. That's why you drown it in noise. Music, podcasts, YouTube, endless scrolling. Anything to avoid sitting alone with the truth. The truth that you're playing smaller than you were built to play. You've convinced yourself that you need more time to prepare, more time to learn, more time to get ready. Ready for what? There is no magical moment where the sky opens up and you suddenly feel fearless. That's a fantasy. Confidence is earned in motion, not before it. You build courage by doing hard things badly at first. And yes, you will look stupid sometimes. You will fail. You will misjudge. You will mess up. Good. That's called living. Right now, you're in a controlled environment, a padded room, no real risks, no real exposure, no real vulnerability. And it's killing your edge. You used to have an edge. Remember when you were hungry, when you had something to prove, when staying the same wasn't even an option? Back then, you didn't overthink. You moved.
Now you analyze everything. You hesitate. You calculate the perfect moment. And in that calculation, you lose momentum. Momentum is fragile. Once you stop, restarting feels 10 times harder. That's where you are right now. Not incapable, just out of rhythm. And rhythm doesn't come back by thinking. It comes back by action. Small action, daily action, imperfect action. You don't need to redesign your whole life overnight. That's another trap. Your brain loves big dramatic plans because they feel productive. But then you overwhelm yourself and quit. No. You need one promise. One non-negotiable habit that proves to yourself you're not the guy who hides anymore. Maybe it's waking up when the alarm hits. Maybe it's training every single day. Maybe it's working on your craft for one focused hour with no distractions. Whatever it is, it has to hurt a little. If it's comfortable, it won't change you. And here's the part nobody tells you. When you start stepping up, people around you might get uncomfortable. The friend who loves complaining won't like your discipline. The coworker who coasts won't like your ambition. The circle that bonds over mediocrity won't celebrate your growth. That's the price. Growth is lonely at first, but loneliness is better than regret. 5 years from now, you won't remember the awkwardness of starting. You'll remember whether you had the guts to try. Picture yourself at 40, 50, 60. Looking back, are you going to say, "At least I played it safe," or are you going to say, "I went for it"? Because here's the brutal reality. You are aging every single day. You don't feel it dramatically. There's no alarm, no warning sign, just slow movement forward. And while you hesitate, life keeps moving. You can't rewind wasted years. You can't negotiate with time. You either act now or you explain later why you didn't. And explanations don't build respect. Results do. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Discipline is identity. It stays. You don't rise to the level of your inspiration. You fall to the level of your habits. Right now, your habits are shaping your future quietly. Every scroll, every delay, every excuse, they compound. But so do small wins. Every early morning, every workout, every uncomfortable action, they compound too. The difference between the life you want and the life you have isn't talent. It's compounded choices. You've survived worse than this discomfort. You've handled chaos, pain, uncertainty. Now it's time to handle consistency. Consistency is boring, it's repetitive, it's not glamorous, but it's powerful. And power is built quietly. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You need to stop negotiating with yourself. When you say you'll do something, do it. When you set a standard, keep it. When fear shows up, move anyway. That's how you rebuild trust with yourself. And once you trust yourself again, everything changes.
Let's talk about the voice in your head. Not the loud one that hypes you up for 5 minutes. The quiet one. The one that says, maybe this is enough. The one that whispers, don't push too hard. The one that convinces you to settle. That voice isn't wisdom. It's self-preservation. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not successful. Safe means predictable. Safe means routine. Safe means no risk of humiliation. But safe also means no growth. And growth is the only thing that makes you feel alive. That's why you feel restless. You've been playing it safe for so long that your nervous system is calm, but your spirit is suffocating. You wake up, you go through the motions, you check the boxes. You function, you survive. but you're not expanding. And expansion is uncomfortable. Expansion requires friction. It requires pressure. It requires you to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. The laziness, the inconsistency, the fragile ego. Yeah, I said it. You don't hate hard work. You hate being bad at something in the beginning. You hate not looking competent. You hate the temporary drop in status when you try something new. So you avoid it. You stay in environments where you already know the rules, where you already know you're good enough, where nobody challenges you too hard. That's not confidence, that's protection. And protection has a cost. The cost is your potential. You think you're protecting your ego, but you're shrinking your future. Look at your daily life. Be brutally honest. How much of it is intentional? How much of it is reactive? You wake up because the alarm forces you. You check your phone because it's a reflex. You go to work because you have to. You relax because you're drained. Where in that cycle are you deliberately building something? Where are you consciously upgrading yourself? If you don't interrupt the pattern becomes your life. And here's the harsh truth. Average doesn't happen by accident. It happens by default. You don't wake up one day and decide to be average. You just stop deciding to be better. One skipped workout, one delayed project, one ignored opportunity. Over time, that becomes a personality. You start describing yourself as laid back, chill, going with the flow. But deep down, you know it's not flow. It's drift. And drifting feels peaceful at first, until you realize you're far from where you wanted to be. You've survived worse than pressure. You've survived chaos. You've survived uncertainty. What you haven't practiced is sustained effort. Sustained effort is where transformation lives. Not hype, not motivation, not inspiration. Effort. The kind where you show up even when you don't feel like it. The kind where you keep your word to yourself. The kind where you choose long-term pride over short-term comfort. And here's something you need to understand. You will not feel powerful in the beginning. You'll feel awkward, doubtful, clumsy. That's normal. Strength doesn't feel strong at first. It feels heavy. The first week you wake up earlier, you'll be tired. The first month you commit to discipline, you'll question yourself. The first time you say no to comfort, it will sting. Good. That sting is growth. Right now, your comfort zone is shrinking you. Every time you avoid discomfort, your tolerance for it decreases. You become more sensitive, more reactive, more easily overwhelmed. That's why small problems feel big, because you haven't been voluntarily stepping into hard things. Hard things train your nervous system. They make you stable, calm, focused. They build a version of you that doesn't panic when life hits. You want confidence? Do hard things repeatedly. You want mental strength? Stop running from friction. You want to stop hiding? Put yourself in situations where hiding isn't an option. Speak up, take initiative, lead something, commit publicly. Force growth. Because if you don't force growth, life will force pain. And pain without purpose feels meaningless. But pain chosen for growth? That's power. You've survived worse. Now it's time to choose something harder than comfort. Not because it's trendy, not because it sounds cool, but because the version of you 5 years from now is depending on the decisions you make this year. Stop asking if it's easy. Ask if it's necessary. And if the answer is yes, then wake up and move.
Let me hit you with something you've been avoiding. You don't actually want an easy life. You think you do. You fantasize about comfort, money without stress, success without sacrifice. But if everything was easy, you'd feel empty. You don't want easy. You want meaning. And meaning only shows up when you earn it. That's why the hardest seasons of your life shaped you the most. Not the vacations, not the comfortable months. The struggle, the pressure, the moments where you thought, I don't know if I can handle this. And you handled it. You adapted. You grew. You became tougher. So why are you trying to design a life with zero friction now? That's not strength. That's avoidance disguised as peace. Real peace comes from knowing you can handle chaos. Right now, you're trying to control everything. You want guarantees. You want certainty. You want to know it will work before you start. That's not how this works. There are no guarantees. You step, then you learn, then you adjust. That's it. The people you admire, they weren't fearless. They were decisive. They moved before they felt ready. They took action while doubting themselves. You're waiting to eliminate doubt. They acted in spite of it. There's a massive difference. And here's the uncomfortable part. If you keep hiding, your world will shrink. Opportunities will stop knocking. People will stop expecting more from you. You will become predictable, safe, and invisible. Is that what you want? To be the guy who could have? To be the guy who had ideas but never executed? To be the guy who talks about what he's going to do next year? Wake the hell up. You don't have infinite time to figure it out. Your energy has a peak. Your body has a prime. Your mind has seasons. You are in one of them right now. And every year you hesitate, you're trading potential strength for comfortable weakness. That sounds harsh. Good. Because you don't need soft encouragement. You need truth. You are capable of more than you're currently allowing yourself to attempt. Not because I believe in you, because you've already proven it. Think back to the hardest thing you've ever endured. You didn't plan for it. You didn't feel ready. You didn't have a step-by-step blueprint. You responded. That version of you is still there. But now you're numbing him with distraction. You're sedating your ambition with entertainment. You're feeding your fear with overthinking. Stop. Cut the noise. Sit in silence long enough to hear what you actually want. Not what's trendy, not what impresses people, not what sounds good on social media. What do you actually want? Once you're honest about that, the path becomes clearer. Not easier, clearer. And clarity demands action. Because once you admit what you want, you can't unknow it. If you want strength, you have to train. If you want freedom, you have to build. If you want respect, you have to earn it. There's no shortcut around effort. You can't hack discipline. You can't download resilience. You build it through repetition. Through showing up when it's boring, through continuing when it's inconvenient, through refusing to hide when it gets uncomfortable. That's transformation. Not some dramatic overnight glow-up, 1,000 small decisions stacked on top of each other. Right now, you're one decision away from changing your trajectory. Not your entire life today, just your direction. Decide that you don't hide anymore. Decide that you move even when you doubt. Decide that you stop negotiating with comfort. And once you make that decision, protect it. Guard it like your future depends on it. Because it does. You've survived worse than failure. Now stop acting like trying is dangerous. The real danger? Never finding out who you could have become.
Here's the moment most people avoid. The quiet realization. Not the hype, not the adrenaline, not the dramatic breakthrough. Just the truth. You are responsible. Not for everything that happened to you, but for who you become next. That's the line. You didn't choose every setback. You didn't choose every betrayal. You didn't choose every obstacle. But you choose your response now. And that's where power lives. You keep waiting for the perfect mental state, the perfect plan, the perfect alignment of circumstances. It's not coming. Nobody is coming. There's no hidden mentor watching your life ready to step in. There's no cinematic turning point where everything clicks and suddenly you feel unstoppable. The turning point is a decision, a quiet one. The moment you stop saying one day and start saying today. You've survived worse. That's not motivational fluff, that's evidence. Evidence that you can endure discomfort. Evidence that you can handle pressure.
evidence that you don't break as easily as you think. So stop treating yourself like you're fragile. You're not glass. You're undertrained. There's a difference. Fragile people avoid pressure. Undertrained people need repetition. And repetition is available to you every single day. You want mental strength? Do hard things consistently. You want confidence? Keep promises to yourself. You want transformation? Stop hiding from the work. That's it. No secret formula, no hack, just a standard. Raise your standard for yourself. Stop letting your feelings dictate your actions. You don't need to feel inspired to move. You need to move and let inspiration catch up. Your emotions are temporary. Your habits are permanent. Right now, your habits are shaping a future you're not fully proud of. Change the habits, and the future shifts. It won't be dramatic at first. No fireworks, no applause. Just small shifts. Waking up when you said you would. Finishing what you started. Saying no to distraction. Leaning into discomfort. Over time, those small acts stack up. And one day you look in the mirror and you don't see someone hiding anymore. You see someone solid, grounded, unshakable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And here's the realization that changes everything. You don't need to become someone else. You need to stop betraying who you already are. The version of you that wants more, that's real. The voice that says you're capable, that's real. The discomfort you feel when you settle, that's real. Listen to it. That's not anxiety, that's potential knocking. You can ignore it, you can drown it in comfort, you can numb it with entertainment, but it will always come back. Because deep down, you know. You weren't built to coast. You weren't built to play small. You weren't built to watch from the sidelines. You were built to test yourself, to grow, to push. And pushing will always feel uncomfortable. Good. Comfort keeps you average. Pressure builds you. So here's the lesson. Stop waiting to feel brave. Bravery is action in the presence of fear. Stop waiting for permission. You already survived the worst days of your life. If you can survive that, you can survive trying. And if you can survive trying, you can build. And if you can build, you can become. This is your turning point. Not because the world changed, because you did. You stopped hiding. You stopped negotiating with weakness. You stopped pretending you were fragile. You remembered something simple. You've survived worse. Now live like it.